In Admin Lesson 7, we're going to cover off setting up and using skills in TrackerRMS. So if we go up and look at the Tools button of Tracker, inside of Tools, in the bottom left-hand side under Resourcing, you're going to have Skill Lists and Skill Profile Builder. So we'll get to Skill Lists in just a second, but the Skills Profile Builder is where you can go in and you can build out skills that you want to tag in the system. So any word that's on a resume is going to be searchable when a resume is parsed into the system, but skills are where you can build out a library of anything that you want to track, whether it's when the resume recognizes a word or a series of words, or whether it's something that you want to just manually tag up as you're doing your phone screens or reaching out to your candidates. So the skills starts out as a blank table. You guys can build out the structure however you want and as many skills as you want. They're broken down by category, area, and then skills. So here the category is going to be just a high level where you could put in really any type of information that you want. So here we're going to use our first category, we're going to say is going to be IT skills. So we can hit OK, and what that will do is when your screen refreshes, you'll see that our category is going to be IT skills. Now for the area, if you wanted to organize it by a secondary layer, you could. In this example today, we're going to go in and for that area, we're just going to call it all. So you hit OK, and that will add in an area. Now it's up to building the individual skills. So here if we hit Add New Skill, this is where we can pick our category. The area we can leave as all. And we can say, all right, what skill names do we want to populate? So this is where we could track any skills in the system. So if we wanted to track ASP, you can type that in, and you'll see there's a drop down for the skill type. Now, yes, no is going to be what you're using for the majority of them. Simply, do they have that skill or not? List is where you would have to go in and build a list and then associate that skill to it. We'll go over an example of that shortly of what a list type would be. Value is if you're trying to track the value of something, such as a score on a test or something like that. You could put in a numerical value. So here it's just simply a yes-no type. The parser keyword section is going to be critical. This is where you can enter in the words where when it sees this on a resume, it will automatically code up that skill for you. Now there are the ability where you can put in additional words. So if there are multiple options you would want it to recognize, I can type in as many different types or pieces of information as you would want. Now you'll see down below it says enter one keyword per line. So you can enter them in order or priority. Next, at the very bottom, you'll see that it says keywords are case sensitive. You can tick the box to make it so those keywords are case sensitive. So all we have to do, if it's one skill, you can hit save and close. If it is multiple, you can hit OK and add another. You'll see it will successfully add the skill. Now I can type in my next one. So if the next one was .NET, I can enter that in. Now let's say you didn't want this one to recognize off the parser and you wanted it to manually score. You could go in and remove that parser keyword, hit OK and add another, and it wouldn't automatically skill up that particular skill. That's how you can remove those keywords. So if you're adding skills and you notice that they're tagging on people that don't have them, it's typically because that word is found somewhere on their resume. That's where you can calibrate, change those parser keywords, or remove them entirely if you need. So we can keep populating these skills. So if we wanted to put a couple more in here, we could, and you can just hit OK and add another and keep on going. So once these are all added in, common mistake is as you're hitting OK and add another, they're already saved. They're already in there. You won't see them until the screen is refreshed, but oftentimes people will hit save and close, and what that will do is it will actually save that skill again. So if I refresh my screen, we'll see that we have our skills loaded in, but Java has been entered in twice because we hit OK and then we hit save. So all you have to do is close that screen out and it will keep in all those skills wherever you stopped. So if we wanted to delete one, it's as easy as clicking on the skill, going up and hitting delete skill, hit the OK button, and we've now removed that skill from the screen, and we're back where we started. So if we wanted to put in a second type of skill, we could go in and say our next category is going to be languages spoken. I could say OK, and I could now put in my area for that one. If I wanted to put in a new area, I could. If I wanted to, continue to build that out, I could just select the existing one. So I could say we want this one to be all as well. Hit OK, and that's going to drop in, and we could leave that second area the same. So it's up to you guys how you want to structure that. Now I can add in my skills. So if we wanted to pick up our languages spoken, we could start to populate our skills here. So we could say we want to put in English. OK. I want to add in German, Spanish, French, and obviously we can keep on going. I can hit OK and add another, and at this point I'm done, and I can close it out. You'll see that as soon as the screen refreshes, it's going to show my new skills are now entered, and we're starting to build out a library that can be tagged against the candidates. So let's look at building the value type of skill now. This is where you could go in, and if I wanted to also have not only the skills in here, I could also build a category, and I could call this one testing. If I had separate areas, I could break it down. If I wanted to have different types of areas of testing. So if I had in here, a type of personality tests, this is where I could build that out as an area, and then the individual skills could be each individual test that you guys would have. So we could go in and say I'm going to pick up my testing area. I'm going to use my personality test skill area. And the name for this is going to be test A. I'm going to have it be a value. And what this will do is it will give us a value box that we can populate against that particular skill. So I could hit OK and add another. I can go in here and have a test B. And then I could have test C if we had 3 different types of tests. This would continue to build out my skills area, but now we can have those separate tests that we could track as a skill that you could assign that value against. So next, we'll look at building out a list type of skills. So this is where you can leave the builder, and before you actually set up that skill, you're going to need to build the list that you're tagging it into. So an example of a list that you may want to build would be something such as, we could call this our, experience. And we could say beginner, intermediate, advanced. So in here you can add, this list can always be managed if you want as well. And this is where we're building our list of skills. Now there can be as many different types of lists as you want in here. Now if we exit tools and go back into the builder, if you select a list type, it'll let you select from those different lists. So here we're going to add another category in, and we'll call this Microsoft products. We'll hit OK. For the area, we're going to go ahead and just call this one all. Now for the skill type, this is where when we go in and add a new skill, we're going to select Microsoft products, all. And for the skill name on this one, we're going to say Excel. We're going to pick the list, and instead of just saying, do they have Excel, we're going to tag it to the list, and we can track whether they're beginning, intermediate, or experienced. So I'm going to hit OK and add another. And then we could go in and pick our next one. We could say Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, as many of these as you want to track. That will all tag those in against that list. If we refresh our screen, we'll see that we're now populating out our skills library with the different types of skills that are on here. So this is how it can be built out, how it can be customized and changed at any time. Now, if we go in, we can also edit those lists down the road. So you'll see that this is tagged to that experience one. If we wanted to add an additional option in there, all you would need to do is go back into the skill list, and those can be added at any time. So now let's go out and look at our candidate, John Smith, on the system. And in his record, we'll scroll down and we'll look at the skills option. Now, the skills and experience table, this is an optional table. You can bring it in using Layout Designer if it is one that you want in your view. This is really only necessary if you're going to be using the value or the list type of skills. Quick skills is going to be your easiest option because I can click the drop down and I can select from all of my skills that are yes, no, just by ticking the box. So if I knew that John had .NET, C#, he spoke English and German, I could just simply select all those boxes. I can go up and hit Save Changes, and it would save all those skills against his profile. So it's as easy as that to load in all those skills in the system using the Quick Skills option. And now you'll see that the skills summary, he'll have those all tagged against his record. Where you would use the skills and experience table, and if you have both of them, it can be a little confusing sometimes because they can bump up against each other if you're hitting the remove button and hit save. So it's always best, to look at what you're using. The skills and experience table is going to display them broken down, so I can not only see that they have these 4 skills, I can see what category and what area they're in. But this is where, in the last column, if I wanted to add a skill, this is where I would select those additional ones. So if I wanted to add a testing skill, I could go in, select our testing option. I could choose our personality tests, and I could say for test A that John Smith took, he had a score of 75. I could hit OK and close, or OK and add another, and you would see it would drop in that skill and that value against his particular profile. Now, if I also wanted to add a different skill, I could go in and say, let's pick up our Microsoft products. Let's grab our all area, and let's pick Excel. They're advanced. Let's add another. Let's grab Outlook. They're advanced. Let's add another. Let's grab Word, and they're intermediate. And I can hit OK and close. So now this is how I can populate out those additional skills inside their profile. Now I don't have to hit save. These are already added in as soon as you see them here. If you hit save and there's a difference between what's in this table and what's up here for the quick skills, you may see them disappear or come back. So you always want to make sure that if you're using this skills and experience table, when you hit the OK and close or OK and add another, it's already saved at that point. So let's look at how these can be searched off of quickly. So if we go into the candidates and we're looking at searching, skills can be searched by looking at or using the skills section. Inside the skills profile, this is where you can go in and you can add in required or optional quick skills by clicking the box and selecting the skills that you want. Now, be careful if you're using required because it is only going to show candidates that are a match with that. If you put it in optional, it will show those skills, but it won't require them. So this is where you'll see all of your quick skills down here. So if I wanted to add those in as optional, all I have to do is tick the box. collapse using the 3 lines, and those are applied. The skill list is where you can go in and you can say, I want to search for test A, and I want a value that is equal, less than, greater than, using the different operators that are in here. And I could say I want one that's greater than 70%. I could select my operator here. I could go down, and for required skill, I could say I only want somebody that has Excel that's equal to advanced, or if you're using a list, you can also use the operators, depending on the priority of them. And this is how the skills can be used to search for candidates. The other option with the skills is you can also code up contacts on the system, so you can put skills against a contact if you're wanting to identify what types of candidates John Henry is interested in, so you can search contacts. You can also put skills against a job when you're opening up a job, so that when you're running a search, those can be entered in. So for more on skills, you can check out the lessons on the recruiter side, but this goes over how you can set up all the different skill types and use them in TrackerRMS.